The 5-3 Dallas Cowboys host the 6-3 Minnesota Vikings for the Cowboys' third straight primetime game, which will be held in AT&T Stadium on Sunday Night Football. This game is a statement game for the Cowboys, with the narrative being the Cowboys can't beat a winning football team. This game would change the Cowboys' trajectory for the remainder of the season and keep the Cowboys ahead of the Eagles. Dak is 4-0 versus Kirk Cousins. Will Kirk finally get a win against Dak? Can the Hot Boys and the Black Cat shut down the rushing attack of the Vikings and Dalvin Cook? Or will Adam Thielen's injury have a huge effect on the Vikings offense? Will Amari Cooper be able to play with no issues? Find out on the next episode of TGK TV. What's up, everybody? It's your boy TGK here on TGK TV. And today I'm going to talk about the Dallas Cowboys versus the Minnesota Vikings in AT&T Stadium on Sunday Night Football. Yeah, I know I haven't been making much Dallas Cowboys content, and that's just because, well, no one's asking for it. But I'm glad to be able to talk about the Cowboys right now, and I probably will make a little bit more content moving forward because it seems like I've just been doing the preview and prediction, and that's been it. But I do want to share my thoughts on them. It's just life gets in the way, and you don't get to do what you always want to do because there's certain days that just doesn't allow it. And I have other content that I do sometimes, so I wish I can improve on it, and I'm going to try to. All right, so let's get into this game. So first off, I heard Adam Thielen is not going to play. I haven't seen an update yet, but I'm gonna look into it, and if I do find an update, I'll put it somewhere in this video and post edit. But if he doesn't play, I don't want to fall into the whole fact that if he doesn't play, it hurts the Vikings tremendously, because if you look at what happened with the Green Bay Packers, Davante Adams wasn't around, and I thought that was a huge thing. I thought, we should be able to beat the Packers without him. And yet we got spanked in that game. So I'm not trying to fall for that trap again, but at the same time, maybe Adam Thielen has just that much more of effect on the Vikings than Adams did on the Packers versus the Cowboys earlier in the year. Now the Cowboys, the defense came alive in the second half. In the first half, pretty pitiful. It was too close of a game for my liking versus an incompetent team like the Giants. So hopefully what we got in the second half is something that, can be pushed forward and the momentum can keep going against the Vikings. But this game is huge. This game has huge implications on just the overall perception of the Cowboys, right? The Cowboys has this perception that we can't beat a winning football club. Like I said in the intro, there's this stigma that we cannot beat a actual winning football club. Can we finally do it? Can we finally muster up some semblance of a Super Bowl winning team to beat a winning team right now? And my expectations, I've had to kind of adjust them because we came into this season with expecting that we'd make it to at least the NFC Championship and go and possibly contend for a Super Bowl. That was the goal. And now everyone's having to curb their expectations, and that's unfortunate, but at the same time, with the team that we have, realistically, on paper, and with the experience that they all got together, they should be one of the best teams in the NFL. Now, what am I trying to say here? What I'm trying to say is, as far as that narrative that the Cowboys cannot be winning teams, this game is huge. Because if you lose this game, you're tied with the Philadelphia Eagles, and you no longer have that advantage that you have on them. If you win this game, you stay ahead of them, keep the pressure on them. There's no pressure on us. We just maintain and play the best to our abilities. We don't have to come out of our character. But when it comes to us losing this game against the Minnesota Vikings, that'll be pretty bad. And I'll be extremely upset if we lose to the Vikings, because we really shouldn't. And a wide receiver like the talent that Adam Thielen has should affect them tremendously. It should make Dalvin Cook be the main person that we stop. It should change our defensive game plan to the point where we just isolate Kirk Cousins and Diggs and make them beat us that way. I don't see how Cook could run all over us. I don't think Cook is a Ezekiel Elliott, Christian McCaffrey, Alvin Kamara type of player. We should be able to keep him at bay. Now, the only thing about this is that these two teams are pretty close when it comes to our rankings. As far as the rankings for the Dallas Cowboys and the Minnesota Vikings, it's pretty interesting. For the offensive side of the ball, the points per game, the Cowboys are literally 5th in the league. Passing yards, they're 5th in the league. And rushing yards, they are 4th in the league. And yards per play, they are literally 1st in the league. However, the Cowboys and the Vikings have a decent gap when it comes to the offensive side of the ball. The Vikings are ranked 11th in points scored in the league, and they're ranked 16th in passing yards. It's crazy. But they are ranked 3rd when it comes to rushing the ball. And the Vikings are also ranked 3rd when it comes to yards per play. So when it comes to per play, the Cowboys and Vikings, pretty close. When it comes to rushing yards, Cowboys and Vikings, pretty close. It's only different when it comes to the points and passing yards. But again, when you're able to have a rushing attack like the Vikings do, they should be able to keep you in every single game. So to me, it's a pretty close comparison right there. Let's go to the defensive side of the ball now. When it comes to the Cowboys defense, as far as the points allowed, they are 5th best in the league. When it comes to passing yards, they're 7th. When it comes to the rushing yards, they're 10th. And when it comes to the yards per play allowed, they are 8th. And then when we go to the Viking side of the ball, you'll see that they are literally right there neck and neck when it comes to our defenses and how they match up. The Vikings are 4th when it comes to points per game allowed. They're also 8th when it comes to passing yards. They're also 8th when it comes to rushing yards. And they are 10th when it comes to yards per play. So it is literally almost the same type of defense if you look at it from the rankings perspective. Now, let's get into the prediction part, right? These two teams are fairly comparable. I think the biggest thing that hurts them is Adam Thielen, honestly. And now we have a spread of the Cowboys and the Vikings. The total spread is 48 points. And the Cowboys are favored by 3. The Cowboys are at home and they're favored by 3. I honestly feel like they might. I think Adam Thielen is good enough for a point to make the Cowboys to be favored by 4. I think the Cowboys should win by 4. So my prediction for the Minnesota Vikings and the Cowboys, and because their defenses are right there with each other, is going to feel like it's a dogfight to where it's not too much offense to where it goes over the spread. I think it's going to go under the spread. I think they're only going to score 44 points. Therefore, the Cowboys are going to score 24, and the Minnesota Vikings are only going to score 20. Why? Because at this point, Kirk Cousins being 0-4 against Dak Prescott, there's something to it. To me, I think there's a lot to it, and I think we should be able to continue that, especially if the Cowboys are trying to make a name for themselves. And again, this is a statement game. You want and you need to beat the Minnesota Vikings, and you need to stay ahead of the Philadelphia Eagles, because that last game that they play against each other is going to be huge. And again, the Cowboys need to start playing every single game as if it is the playoffs. All right, so hopefully the Cowboys can win on Sunday night and stay ahead of the Eagles. I'll try to make a post-game video on that, and I'll also try to make another video throughout the week if I can. Now, I wish I could talk a lot more about the Cowboys, but I'm not trying to take too much of your time. I want y'all to enjoy your weekend and get ready for Sunday Night Football. And anyway, guys, comment below what do you think of this prediction? What do you think how this game is going to play out? And do you think Adam Thielen's injury, if he plays or not, and I don't think he's playing, if he doesn't play, how big of a factor it is to this game? It's been your boy TGK, and I'm going to catch you on the next one.